A variety of other legal measures can be pursued, such as fines or seizure of property. Trespass, fraud, defamation, invasion of privacy, and even assault can be torts, as can interference with contractual relations and wrongful use of the trade secrets. We'll explain three classifications of torts: intentional negligence and product liabilities. So, intentional liability, negligence liability, and product liability. Let's talk about intentional torts. Intentional torts result from the deliberate action of another person or organization. For instance, a manufacturer knowingly fails to install a relatively inexpensive safety device on a product. Similarly, refusing to rectify a product design flaw, as in the case of Space Shuttle Challenger disaster, can render a firm liable for an intentional tort. The actions of the employees on the job may also constitute intentional torts, say an overzealous security guard who wrongly accuses a customer of shoplifting. To remedy torts, court will usually impose compensatory damages, payments intended to redress an injury actually suffered. They may also impose punitive damages, fines that exceed actual losses suffered by the plaintiffs and that are intended to punish the defendants. Negligence torts. 90% of the tort suit involve charges of negligence conduct falling below legal standard for protecting others against unreasonable risk. If a company installs a pollution control system that fails to protect a community's water supply, it may later be sued by an individual who gets sick from the drinking water. Negligence torts may also result from employees' action. For example, if the captain of a supertanker runs ground and spills 11 million gallons of crude oil into coastal fishing waters, the oil company may be liable for potentially astronomical damages. Thus, in September 1994, a jury in Alaska ordered Exxon Corp to pay $5 billion in punitive damages to 34,000 fishermen and other plaintiffs as the consequence of the Exxon Valdez disaster in 1989. Plaintiffs had asked for $15 billion. A month earlier, the jury had awarded plaintiffs $287 million in compensatory damages. In 1993, the firm responsible for pipeline operations at the Valdez, Alaska terminal, which is partially owned by Exxon, agreed to pay plaintiff in the same case $98 million in damages. In separate cases, Exxon paid $20 million in damages to villages whose food supply had been destroyed. A separate state jury considered another $120 million in claims by Alaska corporations and municipalities. Even before any of these awards were handed down, Exxon had spent $2.1 billion on the cleanup effort and paid $1.3 billion in civil and criminal penalties. Product liability torts. In cases of product liability, a company may be held responsible for injuries caused by the products, according to a special government panel. On product liability, about 33 million people are injured and 28,000 killed by the consumer products each year. Strict product liability. Since the early 1960s, businesses have faced a number of legal actions based on the relatively new principle of strict product liability. The principle that liability can result not from the producer's negligence but from a defect in the product itself. An injured party need show only the following. Number one, the product was defective. Number two, the defect was the cause of the injury. Number three, the defect caused the product to be unreasonably dangerous.